Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A lot has been said today about the need to take a whole-of-government approach to meet the rising demand of energy instead of arbitrarily picking winners and losers. Unfortunately, my state, New York, has gone in the opposite direction, imposing its version of the Green New Deal, the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, CLCPA, to shut down natural gas generation and use. For years, my state has prohibited large-scale hydraulic fracturing, despite sitting atop my district, sits atop the Marcellus Shale, which is estimated to contain 214 trillion cubic feet of recoverable natural gas. New York has further weaponized its regulatory apparatus to block much-needed infrastructure projects like the Northern Access Pipeline, which would have provided nearly 500 million cubic feet per day of Appalachian gas to the Northeast. So, Mrs. Eversole, how can we utilize the President's executive orders to unleash energy in areas of the country like the Northeast that desperately need it? And how do we ensure that bad energy policies in one state like New York do not stand in the way of energy reliability for the rest of the country?
Congressman, thank you very much for your question. And I think that the contrast in state energy policy in particular is really not as stark as could be between what you see in Dr. Joyce's district versus across the border in New York. Pennsylvania enjoys the benefits of having a pro-energy state and a pro-energy environment. And New York is the exact opposite. What we could do is we could build pipelines into the state of New York, bringing that gas to the market. Energy prices, electricity in particular, are 42% higher than the national average in the state of New York. And it really doesn't make any sense. In fact, it's also impacting the environment because we're having to get that energy from other sources that are higher emitting. And so we need to get back to our principles here, which is a diversified source of energy is better for American consumers. And I would just continue to point out that America's oil and natural gas industry stand ready to be part of these solutions.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Eversole. And Mr. Arnold, with several states like New York and localities like Denver attempting to ban natural gas use, what impact does this have on jobs in this sector? What trickle-down effect does this have on housing affordability and other issues that are front of mind for Americans right now?
Thank you for the question. The very simple answer is anytime you take project opportunities off the table, then you lose the jobs that those projects provide. In our local, 110 of our members do nothing but gas distribution work all day, every day, whether that be distribution pipeline work, whether that be gas meter replacement, gas meter bump out, that is their job. And if you remove the ability for utilities to provide that gas, we lose all of those jobs and all the economic benefit they provide.
Thank you. And finally, I'd like to note recent reports I've been hearing about a data center project in upstate New York that appears to have been held up by my state's regulatory agencies. I'd like to note that the environmental activists across the country have already begun scapegoating new energy-intensive technology like AI and artificial intelligence as standing in the way of their Green New Deal agendas. So, Mr. McCown and Ms. Eversole, do the opponents have it wrong? Can we develop energy infrastructure and do so in a way that meets sustainability goals, but also the needs of energy-intensive industries like AI? And can we do it competitively if we have the right regulatory framework?
Absolutely, Mr. Langworthy. Thank you for the question. Yes, they do have it wrong because we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can reduce emissions while expanding our economic base and expanding the tax base, quite frankly. One of the frustrating parts is this is a direct assault on interstate commerce. There's a real question whether or not, frankly, New York can prohibit interstate transportation of commodities to other states. It is, it's the tail wagging the dog.
Thank you. Any thoughts, Ms. Eversole?
Look, I would argue that developing AI and other types of technologies in this country is a geopolitical and strategic advantage. We've seen the headlines, we've seen the market reaction of some of the announcements from the Chinese. America should own AI. America should lead. It creates jobs, and the American energy industry will be there to support the load growth required to meet that technology.
Thank you very much for all of your thoughtful testimony. I look forward to working with my colleagues here on the Energy and Commerce Committee to achieve these goals, and I thank the witnesses for their time today. And with that, I yield back, Mr. Chairman.